Good morning, children. Stay safely at home. So, I'm starting the next chapter, that is interference of light. Now, before knowing the interference of, already you studied about the interference of sound waves. I hope you can remember. In 11th standard, you studied that. So, if you want to study interference of light, then you have to you have to recall the superposition principle. So, what is superposition principle? When two or more waves simultaneously moves in the same medium, then at any point displacement of the particle of the medium is equal to vector sum of the displacement due to the propagation of individual wave through the same medium. Alright, what is the simple meaning? Suppose one wave, when it is propagating through the medium, then y1 is the displacement of the particle. Alright, particle of the medium. Then another wave, when it is moving through the medium, propagating through the medium, then y2 be the displacement of the particle of the medium. Now, if both the waves propagate through the medium simultaneously at the same time, then what will be the resultant displacement of the particles of the medium? That is given by y is equal to y1 plus y2. Alright, if more than two waves are there, then it will be y is equal to y1 plus y2 plus y3, so on. Is that clear? So, this is the superposition principle. Now, interference of light waves takes place due to superposition of two light waves, okay, having slightly different amplitude, alright, but having the same frequency and moving through the medium in the same direction. Alright, means when two light waves of slightly different amplitude but having same frequency move with the same speed in the same direction, in that case when they superpose on each other, then redistribution of light intensity takes place. When the single waves are propagating, then what is happening? A general illumination is there. Alright, but when these two light waves superpose, then what happens? Alternate maxima and minimas are produced. Means alternate bright and dark fringes you can get. So this kind of redistribution of intensity of light due to superposition of two light waves having slightly different amplitude but same frequency moving with same speed in the same direction is called interference of light. Alright, so I have written what is interference of light? The redistribution of light intensity due to superposition of two light waves. Here within bracket, if you want, you can write that light waves, what kind of light waves? They should have slightly different amplitude, same frequency, moving with same speed and in the same direction. Both the waves are moving in the same direction. Then is called interference of light. Alright, now if you consider, you know that already you studied in 11th standard that what is the equation of a progressive wave? Y is equal to a sine omega t minus kx. Alright, I hope you can remember omega is equal to 2 pi n, where n is the frequency and k is equal to 2 pi by lambda. Alright, so in this case you see, let us consider y1 is equal to a sine omega t minus kx is the first wave and y2 is equal to a sine omega t minus kx plus phi is the second wave. Alright, they are having some phase difference. Okay, both the waves are having some phase difference. So if you consider the phase difference is phi, then this also you studied in 11th standard, that phi is given by 2 pi by lambda into x. Alright, where x is the path difference between the two waves. Is that clear? So if you consider according to superposition principle, if you write y is the resultant displacement of the particles of the medium, it will be y1 plus y2. So you see, you can write it as a1 sine omega t minus kx plus a2. This one you can break it into sine a plus b. Omega t minus kx as a and phi as b. So you can write it as sin omega t minus kx into cos phi plus a2 cos omega t minus kx into sin phi. Is that clear? Now you see, you can take the sin omega t minus kx common. So you can write it as a1 plus a2 cos phi into sin omega t minus kx plus a2 sin phi into cos omega t minus kx. Now here you see one function sin omega t minus kx, another is cos omega t minus kx. So if you want to write it as a single sine function, then what you can do, let us assume that a1 plus a2 cos phi is equal to r cos theta and a2 sin phi is equal to r sin theta. Alright, this we are assuming. Why we are assuming this? Because we want to express it as a single sine function. So you can assume this way. This derivation also you have done already. So you see, if you substitute that a1 plus a2 cos phi as r cos theta, then you are getting r sin omega t minus kx cos theta plus r cos omega t minus kx sin theta. So it is sin a cos b plus cos a sin b. So you can write it as sin a plus b. So r sin omega t minus kx plus theta. Alright. Now you see, if you square and add that to assumption, then what you can get, you see, r square cos square theta plus r square sin square theta is equal to a1 plus a2 cos phi whole square plus it was a2 sin phi whole square. Now on the left hand side you see, if you take r square common, it will be sin square theta plus cos square theta, and here you are getting a1 square plus 2a1 a2 cos phi plus a2 square cos square phi plus it is a2 square sin square phi. So you see, sin square theta plus cos square theta 1, so you are getting it as r square, then it is a1 square plus 2a1 a2 cos phi plus, you see here, if you take a2 square common, it will be sin square phi plus cos square phi. Now sin square phi plus cos square phi is 1. So you are getting it as a2 square. So r square is a1 square plus 2a1 a2 cos phi plus a2 square. Now we know that intensity of a wave, it is directly proportional to square of the amplitude. I hope you can remember. So you see, intensity of the wave is given by some constant k into a1 square plus a2 square plus 2a1 a2 cos phi. Is that clear? So you see, depending on the value of cos phi, intensity can be maximum and minimum, because you know that cosine function, it varies between 0 and 1, isn't it? So depending on the value of cos phi, what happens, intensity of the light wave, it will change. Now when the intensity of the light wave is maximum, that is known as constructive interference, and when the intensity of light is minimum, that is known as destructive interference. So we have to find out now what are the conditions for constructive and destructive interference. So as I said it already, that what is the condition for constructive interference, that intensity will be maximum at that point. Now if you consider the expression for the intensity, it is a1 square plus a2 square plus 2a1 a2 cos phi. So when cos phi is equal to plus 1, then intensity will be maximum at that point. So cos phi, when it will be plus 1, what is the general solution? I hope you can remember. Phi 0 is 1, cos 0 is 1, cos 360 degree 1. Alright, then cos 4 pi 1. So you can write what is the general solution, that phi will be 0, 2 pi, 4 pi. Is that clear? So how you can write it? Phi is equal to 2m pi, where m is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, so on. Alright, so along with this expression you have to remember, this is the condition for the constructive interference. What is the condition? Phase difference between the two waves should be equal to 2m pi, where m is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, so on. Is that clear? Again we know that phase difference is given by 2 pi by lambda into path difference. So 2 pi by lambda into x equal to 2m pi. It means you see 2 pi you can cancel. So you can write x is equal to m lambda. Alright. And remember, whenever you will write down the condition for constructive interference, do not forget to write what is m stand for. What are the values of m? If you do not write the values of m, then in the board exam mark will be deducted. So I am reminding you that if it comes, what is the condition for constructive interference? You should write phase difference phi is equal to 2m pi, comma, m equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, so on. Is that clear? Or you can write path difference x is equal to m into lambda, comma, m is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, so on. So what I am reminding, that don't forget to write the values of m while writing the condition for constructive and destructive interferences. So here I am discussing the constructive interference. So you see, what will be the maximum value of the intensity? Cos phi is equal to 1 plus 1. So you can write k into a1 square plus a2 square. Sorry. a1 square plus a2 square plus 2a1 a2. So you can write it as a1 plus a2 whole square. Again you see, if you consider I1 is k1 square and I2 is k2 square, then if you take k within the bracket, then it will become k square a1, isn't it? And it will become k square a2. Means what? It will be root I1 plus root I2 whole square. Is that clear? So you can write it as either this relation, that maximum intensity when the constructive interference takes place, k into a1 plus a2 whole square, or you can write it as root I1 plus root I2 whole square. Now when the destructive interference takes place, then intensity will be minimum. So what are the conditions for destructive interference? So you see, what is the condition for destructive interference? Cos phi should be equal to minus 1. So when cos phi is minus 1, then what is the general solution for phi? We know cos 180 degree is minus 1, then cos 3 pi minus 1, cos 5 pi minus 1. So the general solution is pi, 3 pi, 5 pi. So you see, you are getting the odd multiples, isn't it? So how you can form odd multiple? 2m minus 1, isn't it? Because when m is 1, 2, 3, then you see 2m is even. So when you subtract 1 from an even number, it will become an odd number. So that is the concept. So what is the general solution for the destructive interference? Phi is equal to 2m minus 1 into pi when m is equal to 1, 2, 3. Be careful. When I have written for constructive interference that phi is equal to 2m pi, then m was 0, 1, 2, 3. But in this case, when I am writing phi is equal to 2m minus 1 into pi, then m is 1, 2, 3, so on. So what will be the path difference? So again you can write 2 pi by lambda into x is equal to 2m minus 1 into pi. So on simplification, how much it is coming? It is m minus half into lambda. So these are the two conditions for destructive interference. You must remember it. And once again I am reminding that whenever you will write down two conditions, then don't forget to write the values of m. m is equal to 1, 2, 3, so on. Then what will be the minimum intensity? Minimum intensity is given by a1 square plus a2 square minus 2a1 a2, because cos phi is equal to minus 1. So what you can getting? K into a1 minus a2 whole square, and which you can write it as root I1 minus root I2 whole square. Because you see, in place of a1, one can write it as root I1 by k. So k when you will take common out, then kk will get cancelled. So this expression one can write write it as root I1 minus root I2 whole square. So these are the conditions for constructive and destructive interferences. Again I am reminding, very important topic from this chapter. So you must learn and remember and practice the conditions for destructive as well as constructive interference. Now, during the interference of light, you are seeing that at one point intensity of light is becoming maximum, another point intensity of light is becoming minimum. So don't think that you are creating energy at the position of the constructive interference and we are destroying energy at the point of destructive interference. No, it is not taking place. How we can show that? If you calculate the average intensity, alright, what is the average intensity of light throughout the medium? So what will be the average intensity? Minimum intensity plus maximum intensity divided by 2. So you see, if you substitute the expression for maximum intensity, it is K into A1 plus A2 whole square. Minimum intensity is K into A1 minus A2 whole square. And then you know A plus B whole square plus A minus B whole square is 2 into A square plus B square. So you can write it as 2K A1 square plus A2 square divided by 2. 2 cancel. You are getting K A1 square plus K A2 square is, and K A1 square is I1, K A2 square is I2. So what is the average intensity? Average intensity is sum of the two intensities of light. It means what? It proves that neither we are creating energy nor we are destroying energy, we are redistributing the energy at the different point. Means what? Where the energy is maximum, then how the maximum energy is created? The energy is shifted from the destructive region to the constructive region. So whenever interference of light takes place, then it obeys the conservation of energy. Alright, now the topic I am going to discuss is a very important topic for your board exam, that is Young's double slit experiment. Alright, first Young performed this experiment. Why it is known as double slit experiment? Just look at the diagram, you will understand it. First of all, a slit S is illuminated by a monochromatic light. Alright, monochromatic light means what? Mono means single, chrome means color. Means a single colored light. It may be red, it may be violet, it may be blue, it may be yellow. So the slit is illuminated by a monochromatic light. Then you see, in front of the single slit is two double slits S1 and S2. They are kept in such a manner that S1 and S2, they are equidistant from S. Alright. So whatever I am saying, you have to follow it while drawing the diagram. Okay, you may not have to write in sentence, but while drawing the diagram, you must take care that S1 and S2, these are the two slits, they are equidistant from S. Why they are taken equidistant? So that the phase difference between the light waves coming from S1 and S2, that will remain constant. So we may have a sustained interference pattern on the screen. Alright, that is the reason that why S1 and S2 are taken equidistant from S. So that is the way I have drawn the diagram, that SS1 and SS2, these two lines are equal. Now you see, in front of this double slit S1 and S2, a screen is kept at a distance big D. And the distance between the two slits S1 and S2, that is denoted by small d, it is also known as slit width. Alright. So you see what is happening. From S1 light will fall on the screen and from S2 light will fall on the screen. So what we have taken, if you consider the screen, O is the, means O, how you are getting, you see, just by joining S through this horizontal line. Then O is the center position of the screen. So we have not taken the center position. We have taken any point P which is at a distance Y from the point O. Here I prefer to mention one point, that in your book they have considered this as X. But problem is that X generally we consider the path difference, because I have written the constructive interference condition. I hope you can remember. Path difference between the two waves is m lambda. M lambda, and the for constructive interference, and for destructive interference x is equal to 2m minus 1 into lambda, or m minus half into lambda. Is that clear? So you have to, if you write path difference as x and this point, the distance of the point chosen from the center of the screen also x, then they will means it will create a confusion. That's why. And one more thing, that this length we have taken along the y axis, so it is better to express in terms of y. Okay, I repeat, in your book this distance they have taken as x, but don't take it as x, better to express it as y, because this is the distance we are measuring along the vertical line. Not only that, x generally we use to represent the path difference between the two waves. So in this case, you see what will be the interference pattern at the point P, means whether it will be a constructive interference or destructive interference, you can find out by finding the path difference. Okay, so what is the path difference? You see, what is the path difference between the two interfering waves? You can write it as S2P minus S1P. Alright, now you see, from S1 I have dropped a perpendicular on S2P and named it as A. So you see what is happening, S1P and AP, they are becoming equal. So what is the path difference, S2P minus S1P? It is nothing but S2A. Alright, so what will be the path difference between the two interfering waves at the point P? It is given by S2A. Now if you join this midpoint of S1, S2, 2P, and if this angle is theta, then from the geometry of the diagram you can consider this angle is also theta. So you see, you can write it as S2A. You see here, S2A is the perpendicular and hypotenuse is S1 by S2. So S2A by S1 by S2 is equal to sine theta. So you can write S2A is equal to S1 S2 sine theta. Alright. Now S1 S2 is how much? D sine theta. Is that clear? So you can write what is the path difference between two interfering waves at the point P. It is given by D sine theta. Alright. Now if you consider the triangle S1A S2, this angle is theta. So already I have written this, sine theta is equal to S2A by S1 S2. And then if you consider that midpoint of S1 S2 as C, then if you consider the triangle POC, this angle is theta. So tan theta will be perpendicular upon base, so y by d. Is that clear? Now you know that limit theta tends to 0, tan theta is theta. Again limit theta tends to 0, sine theta is also theta. Alright. So that's why when theta is very very small, then one can approximate it as sine theta and tan theta equal. It is possible only when theta is very small. You must remember that. Otherwise always sine theta, tan theta not equal. Is that clear? So if you write sine theta is S2A by, tan theta is y by d and sine theta is S2A and S1 S2 is d. So you see what is coming, S2A, S2A is coming y small d by big D. So this is the relation. You have to remember that S2A is equal to y small d by big D. Is that clear? Now from this relation we will find out what will be the positions of constructive and destructive interferences. So you see what will be the position of the bright fringe. Bright fringe means it will produce the constructive interference. So what is the relation for constructive interference? I hope you can remember. Path difference between the two waves should be equal to m lambda. Now what is the path difference here we have got? That is S2A. This is the path difference S2A. So S2A should be equal to m lambda. And we have shown geometrically that S2A is given by y small d by big D. So y small d by big D should be equal to m lambda. Alright, now here m value will be 0, 1, 2, 3. Now here you see, depending on the value of m, the value of y will change. That's why we have written here ym. Is that clear? Ym, we have written y, this is the subscript, not y into m. Means when m is 0, then this is the y0. Alright? And then when m is 1, it will become y1 and so on. So you see, what is the position of central bright fringe? Alright, position of central bright fringe. From this relation, what are you getting? Ym is m lambda d by d. Means y0. Y0 will be how much? 0. M is 0. Isn't it? So you see, this is the most important point. At the center, always a bright fringe will be produced. This is the most important point related with interference pattern. At the center, always a bright fringe will be produced. Is that clear? So you have to remember it. I hope you have understood. Now you see, what will be the first bright fringe? Y1. Y1 will be m equal to 1 means what are you getting? You are getting it as m equal to 1 means lambda big D by small d. Then what is Y2? Y2 will be 2 lambda big D by small d when m is equal to 2. So like that, what will be? This is the first bright fringe. This is the second bright fringe. Then third bright fringe, it will be 3 lambda d by d. So you see, this is the general relation for the position of bright fringes, that ym is equal to m lambda d by d. You have to remember it for answering the conceptual question as well as the numericals. So ym is equal to m lambda d by d. This is the position of the central bright fringe as well as the position of bright fringes. You can find it out. And when m is equal to 1, then we say that is the first bright fringe. When m is equal to 2, that is the second bright fringe, and so on. So what is the position of the dark fringe? How you can find out? Then the path difference should be equal to m minus half into lambda, where m is equal to 1, 2, 3. So you see, you can write, here I have written dash, ym dash, just to differentiate between the position of bright and dark fringes. Okay. So you see, for dark fringes, ym dash is given by m minus half into lambda into big D by small d. So you see, what is the position of the first dark fringe? First dark fringe means m equal to 1. So m equal to 1 means what? 1 minus half is half. So you see, you can write y1 dash, it is coming lambda d by 2d, or I can write it like this so that you can understand it better way. Half into lambda d by small d. Is that clear? I hope it is visible. Half. This is 1 by 2. Half into lambda big D by small d. Then what is the position of the second bright fringe? Y2 dash. It will be, when it is 2, 2 minus half means 1 and half. You see, it is 1 and half lambda d by small d. Clear? Then what is the position of the third bright fringe? It is given by y3 dash. It is 3 means what? 3 minus half means 2 and half. So 2 and half lambda d by small d. Clear? So these are the position of the dark fringes. Now I have rubbed it already. So I am just writing it here. What was the position of the bright fringes we have got? Central bright fringe was 0. Then what was the position of the first bright fringe? I hope you can remember. Lambda d by d. What was the position of the second bright fringe? It is 2 lambda d by d. Then third bright fringe, 3 lambda d by d. So if you compare the bright and dark fringe together, then you see first is coming 0, then half. This is bright. So first bright fringe, then dark fringe. After half comes 1. So after dark, again bright fringe. After 1 comes 1 and half. Means after bright fringe, another dark fringe. Then 1 and half, 2 bright. 2 and half dark. 3 bright. Okay, I repeat, bright, then dark, then bright, dark, bright, dark, bright. This is the way. interference pattern you will get. So this is the another important conclusion, that in interference pattern alternate bright and dark fringes are produced. No space is there on the board, it's too small, so please girls write it down. This is the second important point regarding the interference pattern. What is the first important point regarding the interference pattern? I already said that for interference pattern always the central bright fringe, Young's double slit experiment, not for all, Young's double slit experiment, central fringe is always a bright fringe. First point. Second point, in the interference pattern alternate bright and dark fringes are produced. Alright, now we will find out what are the fringe width. Now if you want to find out the fringe width, as we know that between two bright fringe there is a dark fringe. Alright, and between two dark fringe there is a bright fringe. So if you want to find out what is the fringe width of a dark fringe, then you have to subtract the position of two bright fringes, isn't it? So what are the position of the two bright fringes? Y2 is 2 lambda d by d and y1 is lambda d by d. So you can write it, fringe width of a dark fringe will be given by y2 minus y1. So y2 is 2 lambda d by d and it is lambda d by d. So what you are getting, lambda d by d. This is the fringe width of a dark fringe. You must remember it. Then we will find out what is the fringe width of a bright fringe. Now you see what is the fringe width of a bright fringe. As I said, you have to subtract two successive position of dark fringes. So you can write y2 dash minus y1 dash. So what is y2 dash? 1.5 lambda d by d. What is y1 dash? Half lambda d by d. So 1.5 minus half means what? 1. So you are getting lambda d by d. So what is the important conclusion you can draw? That in the interference pattern, the fringe width of bright and dark fringes, they are equal, and that is given by beta is equal to lambda big D by small d.